everybody. My name is Lyle Trenholme. I am in the finance department, director of financial planning and reporting at Topgolf Callaway Brands. I'm in the parent company. I work with all of our subsidiaries and divisions. I have kind of 3 areas of focus: financial information systems, business partnering and consolidations, and then corporate expense planning. So we are a golf company. So today's course here, I'll give you a quick overview of the company and our journey with SEC. As a person in the finance org, I always like to see what have people actually built with solutions, and so I'm going to go through that, what we built. And then the last part is kind of the part I'm most excited about is the reporting and data capabilities with SEC and how this product can really meet all users where they are. So Topgolf Callaway Brands, here are the brands that sit under it. Topgolf, these are entertainment venues, many of you probably know. Callaway Golf is a legacy golf equipment manufacturer with premium golf equipment. And then we have some smaller ones. So Odyssey, #1 putter in golf. We have Travis Matthew Apparel, very big on the East Coast and growing worldwide, really. OGIO, I bet more than one of you has an OGIO backpack in this room. A lot of corporate OGIO backpacks. And Top Tracer's that technology that allows us to see the ball flight at a Topgolf venue. And the company will install those tracking bays, essentially, at golf ranges. So that's another line of business. So getting into our journey with SAP Analytics Cloud, we started in 2019, actually. So pretty early adopters of this software. We implemented it in 2019, and then I'm going to be honest with you, we weren't the happiest of customers with the result. I think the product was a little early, for one, and it was a tool, but a tool that we were kind of struggling with. In 2023 there, we met SimpleFi team, and long story short is we ended up partnering with them. They did a full review of our business, advised on financial planning systems and tools, and then we really did a great project with them where we took a tool, or as you see in the graphics here, kind of Legos, right? The Legos of SAC, and we built a real solution. And this solution is now working for us. And we've been rolling this solution out across the company since completing the build with SimpleFi. So now a look into what we built. So our connected planning models. What we built is 3 models. We have an asset model for planning assets, but it calculates depreciation and amortization for us. We can plan our capital expenditures here. And it covers both fixed assets and what is increasingly prevalent, cloud computing arrangements, such as an implementation of S4 Cloud. We also built a workforce planning model to get to our employee costs, and we load that at a very detailed level that I'll go into soon. And we built a bring it all together hub expenses model. The asset and the workforce model feed into it, and that's where we can, again, bring our planning all together and also plan all other expenses, travel, etc. A look into, again, as a finance director, I like to always see what the people built. So here's a look at, kind of our landing page and what we built. So you can see this is kind of divided into the 3 models we've built. General expense hub model on the left, then we've got our asset planning section in the middle and our head count on the right. And I'll go into detail now a little bit on each of these models. So the workforce planning model, this has really helped us, standardize how we calculate employee costs across the company. It gives us real-time new information, right? We can add an employee or a planned position and immediately see the results of that calculation. We can say, hey, we're going to increase our assumption on cost of living wage adjustments next year. We can do that very quickly and see the effect. We have a good story with this one where, initially we built it around US employees. We're a US-centric company. But until very recently, we also had a company that was heavy in Europe and China, Jack Wolfskin. And if I actually flip back, you can see on the headcount planning section that we did catered calculations and catered stories to Germany for the German employee market, and the same for China. So, quite customizable, all within a single model there. And this allowed our Jack Wolfskin team to move from just 100% Excel, right? No versioning, just all Excel model to a real solution here with SDC. Some of the inputs quickly, we do put actual employee records into our financial planning system for the existing employees. So ID, we need to put employment term. If there's a retiring employee, right, we can have that calculation discontinue. We put in the employment type. So an interim employee will not calculate benefits, whereas a regular full-time will. So we have that type of flexibility. Locale, as I alluded to, right, Germany versus California, very different calculations, and we were able to build those separate calculations. And we do put all the compensation components into this model as well, existing employees and planned hires. Here's just a look at what a table looks like as far as these some of the calculation drivers. And these are drivers that the way we manage it is the financial systems team has control of these, right? So maybe folks in R&D or golf tour or whatever the department, they're not in tune with what is the Social Security wage limit, or what strategically we want to plan for cost of living adjustments, right? So the finance team is able to control these in the kind of back-end drivers. Here's a look at our input story. You can see, we got a couple employees here, existing employees, and we know at the bottom there that Caden is leaving. And so we put an end date there, which again will adjust the resulting employee cost calculation. We use the same model, like I said, for planned positions. So just a quick screenshot here on planned positions. In this case, senior manager of FP&A. You can see we're saying it's 120 salary and 10% bonus, etc. Jumping to the second detailed model we built, asset planning. By the way, this is a picture looking in the hole at a Topgolf range. So I've been actually down into one of those. A lot of assets going on, as you can imagine, with Topgolf Callaway Brands. Okay, on the asset model, it's similar to headcount, right? So instead of planning heads, we're planning assets now. We load existing assets from our asset registries, and that's going to again calculate depreciation and amortization. And we can plan projects, and we're covering capital expenditures in this model as well. Some of the inputs, similar concept, unique identifiers, IDs, of course. What is the asset life? What is the asset cost? And I mentioned before, we're covering both fixed assets and cloud computing arrangements, software implementations in this planning model. We do use internal orders within our ERP. And so, if we have an internal order for the project we're working on, right, that can be tagged here as well. And this is just a look at our basic story for a planned asset here. And this one, an embroidery machine. So remember, we have Travis Matthews, a lot of hats with, if you go to a golf course, the golf course name on that Travis Matthews hat. So we do have embroidery machines. This is property, plant, equipment, 5-year life of depreciation, and that depreciation should start the 1st of January. Let's go to the hub planning model. So this is the model that's really the brains, right? It brings it all together. The employee costs were calculated. They were fed into this model. The asset depreciation and amortization were calculated and fed into this model. Here's a simple story where we can see our expense categorizations by month. This is the report story. We have a very similar story, which allows us to both see actuals in the gray here, and then we can actually input and plan against it, right? So that works very well for some people. So the best thing I think with SAC for us right now is the optionality it's given our users. So we have non-finance users and we have financial planning users, and I think this solution we've built with SimpleFi really meets each user where they are. So one user could just use web stories, pre-built web stories, maybe pre-built that finance has, and just they can see their actuals and input some planning against it. Other groups may be kind of old school. They just want to stay purely in the files they have now. They want a flat file and they just want to import. That's possible. And then what I really like, and my team really likes, is the Excel add-in and the functionality that comes along with that. The Excel add-in has both a table optionality and you could call it kind of more advanced formulas where you can both retrieve and write data to these financial planning models. And just going a little bit more into that optionality, again, I like that there's so many options, right? So you could view on the web story, but then you could input through the table. You could then input through the formula. There's just so many combinations that each user can kind of choose their way of doing it. And I myself, I'm hands-on with this tool for planning 2 departments, and I find myself jumping between both. So sometimes I'm inputting on the web and I'm looking at it through Excel or vice versa. Here's just another look at simple web story here. Really just that Excel report of expenses by categorization. Here, I guess I was getting lost in the presentation. Here's the input. Here's an example of the input. You can see here we've got some different professional services, and we're planning right against that. We're pulling in vendor IDs from our ERP as well, so we can plan, for example, $2,000 a month against CDW. And diving into the Excel add, this table, we're jumping to the table first. The table is so easy to use for many users. I don't know how many folks have used analysis for Excel in the past. This is even easier. It really is. And it's quite simple where, right, you really just drag and drop your fields into the rows and columns, right? And now you have visualization or access to your data. And then at the same time, you can have planning enabled here, and you can just override what's been retrieved, right? So if the number's 289 is no longer the right number, now we can make it 350. Just write straight over that number and save, and it will write up into the model. So this read-write functionality, users are finding very easy to use. For those who are maybe a little more technical and good with Excel formulas, my team finds this extremely powerful as well. So there is a SAP get data function, which allows us to retrieve the booked values. And then there's an SAP set data formula, which allows us to, again, write to these models. And again, we find this pretty usable, where we can really go into, existing, pre-existing reports. And, we may need to add some, parameter cells like you can see here on the inputs. But if we add these parameter cells, we can really build this stuff. We can build these formulas into an existing workbook, right? So rather than start from scratch, there's very much an opportunity to take what already exists and make it work where a user can just hit refresh and get the latest information. Get data, going in a little more to get data, expanding on what I just said. Here's just some screenshots of some basic kind of reports, right, where these formulas can be written into. On the top right there, just hey, what is the total expense for the departments, IT, e-commerce, sales, marketing? Set a get data formula, can retrieve those very simply. Once it's built, that's it. Just refresh for a user. And the same for these just other report examples. We can look at our departments by leaders, and we can look at cost by, for example, employee cost versus travel. And getting into set data a little bit. So one thing that we found, again, working with a spectrum of users is, especially in the beginning, users want to just be able to load to the system. Again, with optionality, SAC allows us to skip the difficulty of a flat file, so to speak, right? Those can bomb out pretty easy. And instead, what we can build for these users is essentially a mass upload functionality using set data. And again, right, you're specifying parameters, you're putting it into an upload kind of format, but now we can quickly change numbers. Yeah, I put here, you see we're getting data, we're pulling what's actually in the system. And then we're saying, okay, well, let's just elevate that data by 10%, right? So then the target value we want to set is 10% higher. And then we can very, rapidly, instantly go replace everything and give it a 10% lift with this functionality. And we didn't even get into, navigating a true import, just a pre-built Excel that we hit save. And the nice thing, right, is, of course, in the flat file, right, a wrong apostrophe or whatever it is, it's just going to bomb out. So this is something that's better version in my experience here. And with this set data, you can be setting any amount of data, right? I mean, it could be a single cost center, and it can be something very mass, like lift everything 10%. Completing the round, coming to a conclusion here. I can tell you that from our experience at Topgolf Callaway Brands and financial planning, that we did hit success with SAC. SAC planning does work. SimpleFi did a really great job taking it for us from a tool to a real solution for us across the board. We really like this flexible, data input and retrieval optionality in the tool. As finance department people, we're never going to fully leave Excel. So the Excel added is fantastic. And we just find it to be a really good integration. So it's not an or situation, right? It's a both. We're just really finding that flexibility that we can be using Excel and these, this new technology solution together. And the other good thing we're finding about SAC is, the SAP team is continuously improving this product. Those waves come out consistently and regularly, and even hearing today about some of the things being worked on, that's very cool. This model, this solution also allows us to easily, do add-on projects essentially. So we can very easily go create another model and tie it back into our existing hub model, right? We can create essentially an unlimited number of stories. They can be input planning stories for our different users. They can be reporting stories. Just a lot of opportunity to continuously build on the foundation we made. That is all I got. So I guess I'll open it up to Q&A. Yes, sir. We used a very old one called BPS.